Hey, so I definitely need to figure out the storage situation on my phone because I can only make like a 14-minute video. Oh, 14 is long enough, but anyway, so I just wanted to finish the that part one off. Um, it got cut off abruptly just as I was asking some questions just to kind of leave with you, just to ponder, just to kind of expand your thinking and kind of start to think about these topics and these ideas. So the first one that I asked was your memory. So your first memory, what was your first memory of being in comparison with somebody else? And can you start to kind of dissect how that made you feel when your feeling of yourself was then shifted based on a side by side comparison with somebody else, and what is really the truth? Can we and just noticing how different it feels to just feel something for ourselves versus then when we compare what we've just accomplished or just completed with somebody else, and how that feeling changes, and what is it that we're really looking for, what is it that we really want to feel. Like I said before, it's really that first experience that we're really seeking, is that completing of that creative task or whatever it is, and it's not the feeling that comes after when we compare it to somebody else's work. Second of all, is asking the question, what do you think it would look like if we created a world or way of being where, in a more systematic point of view and approach, where competition didn't exist? So could we play sport games and literally just play for fun? How would that work? What problems would that create? What things would make that would make what things would be improved with that new approach? Is it possible? And is it better? I don't know. How could schools be run without creating grades? And I know that this has started a little bit, that there's more just pass or fail, versus a specific number, which is a kind of a step in that direction. But thinking about that, how it could be different, and um, and really just kind of like having this in your awareness to notice in your day to day life, to just pick up on when you are comparing yourself. So, like I said, this whole video kind of, and this whole topic was sort of started because I noticed that I would just in like regular day situations, meeting new people, I'd be comparing myself to them. And it doesn't serve anyone, because either I am putting myself lower than them or I'm putting myself higher than them. And both of those are not true. And both of those are completely distorting my reality and are really getting in the way of creating an authentic connection, and really is not coming from a place of pure presence and love. And and it actually inhibits so much natural flow of what could be. So just noticing when you are comparing yourself to other people, and as this is going to be now in your awareness a lot more, you're going to start to notice it a lot, I'm sure. And comparing to other people, whether that's in a simple interaction where you find yourself, you're creating this subconscious hierarchy, or if it's when you are just noticing like all the different ways in our life that we're in competition. It's not just in the sports games or, in school or anything like that, but it's everywhere all the time. So yeah, just noticing that. And there was one last thing I just wanted to say. I remembered it as I was uploading the previous video, and it takes a very long time. And I was just doing other things that I remember. So in university, when I was doing, I was dancing I've danced on a few different dance teams throughout my time in university, but there was one year where I was deciding if I wanted to do the competitive team. I did competitive dance throughout my whole, like from when I was 9 till I was 18 before going to university. And then when I went to university, I just did a non-competitive team where you practice every week and you create routines to put on a show. and I absolutely loved it. It was incredible. And that actually is so more focused on doing it for the pure enjoyment and fulfillment of your own experience, and then sharing it with the world, because we're putting together this show that we're working on with ourselves, and then we're just sharing it, and there's no competition, there's nothing. But one year I decided, I'm like, no, I want to do the competitive team, and it was a huge ego thing, just like proving to myself like I can be on the team and I'm good enough to be on it and whatever. And so I decided to. It was a big decision to choose, because I couldn't do both teams in one year. It would have been too much. So big decision to choose to do the competitive team. And when I was trying to decide if I wanted to do the competitive team or stick to the other team that is non-competitive, but equals the same kind of caliber of dance, I I met up with one of the directors of the competitive team, and I'll never forget this. She wasn't familiar with kind of the workings of the non-competitive team, so I explained it to her, and she was genuinely so confused as to, and she's like, oh, so you don't compete? I'm like, yeah, that's correct. So we don't compete. And she said, well, then what's the point? And I I was like shocked. I was shocked by that response, just for the fact that there were so many things happening in that moment. First of all, it clicked for me that I was like, well, there's a huge point. Like it's dancing for the sake of dancing, and for feeling that fulfillment within our soul, and it doesn't matter. I don't have to compete in order to validate what that feeling brought me, or that experience of creation. So number one, because the feeling that I had, I was shocked that she genuinely like didn't understand what the point was unless you were competing. Um, and so I don't know where I'm getting at with this, but just that's what made me realize that competing isn't the point, and that we get so lost in the competition that we can forget that the fulfillment comes from the thing that we do. It does not come from comparing with other people, and it's always just comes from us, but we're so far removed from this. And this director, like, blessings to her. She's an incredible woman, and and everyone has their own path, and this just wasn't the path for me at the time. Was to be taking for doing the competitive team, and that's just not what resonates. But for some people, that is exactly what resonates for them, and that's incredible. That's amazing. So I'm not saying that like competition is bad and this is a better way. Absolutely not. This is just what works, what is coming up for me and what works for me. And it was very clear in that moment that I was like, wow, the point is just to dance. I don't need to be competing. And nonetheless, I ended up still doing the competitive team. And even though I had that feeling right from the get-go, there was a part of that ego was still just so much stronger. And I think actually right after she said that, she said, what's the point? I I was like about to go into this rant of, well, like to dance and going to all this, and you know what my response was? It was, I remember this so vividly. I was just like, yeah, I know, right? Just brushed it off, because I think I felt so uncomfortable, um, and it was just huge ego, just being like, yeah, like I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that was just a little anecdote, little personal experience story, but yeah, big take home here. Just spend some time. Actually, you don't have to spend any time. You'll start to notice it no matter what, just after listening to this. Just noticing where you are comparing yourself to other people, and how this is ripping you of your joy that you feel when you are just innately doing what you love for the sake of doing what you love, and letting go, and not having to compare or compete with anyone. And notice where perhaps hierarchy is being created in your life too, where you compare yourself just in regular social interactions with other people, and how this makes you feel. Either, I know, like the strongest negative feeling that you usually feel is when you're comparing yourself and putting yourself in a position less than the other person. Usually when you feel like you're better than the other person, you're riding on this high. So sometimes that can be less obvious to you, but more so we can associate and identify these negative feelings a bit easier. So yeah, just noticing where this is coming up. And again, this is just, yeah, some food for thought, some ideas. And yeah, that's everything. Wow, another 10-minute video. I guess that's, yeah, whatever. That's 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah, I hope you have a great day, and just find the things that you love, and you don't need to compete in them or compare yourself. Doing what you love is what you're seeking. That's the feeling that you want. You don't have to go any further than that, and share it with the world, because the world wants to feel that love. The world wants to feel that passion through the whatever you're creating. But the bliss does not come from winning over somebody else. That's not what is the long-term sustainable fulfillment. That's just a short burst of a high. That's just a short little drug that doesn't stay. And it's not really real. Okay, I'm gonna end it there, so don't keep going on. Yeah, have a great day, and I will see you next week for my next video. Bye-bye.